Okay, Blue, guess what? It's almost Thanksgiving. Yay! Woo! I love Thanksgiving. It's such a great time of the year to celebrate your friends and family and everything you are grateful for. So, Blue, can you think of anything that you are grateful for? What does that mean? Where are you going? Hey, come back here. I don't even know what he's doing. So, oh, he's getting paper. Hey, Blue. Are you gonna come back here? Oh, what's that? Got tape on your nose, buddy. You wrote a letter. Oh, look at that. He says, I'm thankful for bones, squirrels, and you. Oh, you're thankful for me? And then he said, XOXO, Blue. That's so sweet. I love you, little buddy. I'm thankful for you, too. Yay! Let's maybe make some things this week that show what we are thankful for. For this project, you will need one piece of paper. In mine, I used two, so I could write on the back of one and look at it while I was making my art. But you can always write on the back of your main piece of paper if you would like to. So you will need one, or if you really want another one, two pieces of paper. You will need a pencil because we are going to start off with a sketch. Sketch is not permanent, so therefore you're going to want a nice eraser to be able to erase your pencil marks. You're going to need a permanent black marker and something to color with. I used watercolors to color with in my video, so if you really want to follow what I'm doing, you can go ahead and use those. But you are totally free to use colored pencils or crayons or something that produces some sort of color. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm ready to go. My paper is the tall way, and first I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to write on the back. So I got to start thinking about the things that I am grateful for. So I'm going to write things I am grateful for. So let's think about it. I have a ton of different things to be grateful for. Let's see, I'm writing family, which is pretty broad. I can list specific members of my family, so maybe I'll go back and do that in a minute. I could put down food. Of course, I'm super grateful for food. I love food. Health. I'm a healthy person, and I'm very thankful for that. Oh, yeah, let's go off on food here. Chocolate. Let's see. Definitely thankful for chocolate. I'm thankful for family, my husband, my daughter, my doggy. And I can write my parents and my siblings. Maybe I'll just write my parents so to keep it simple. Sorry, siblings. You're cut out of this right now. That's what you get for messing with my toys when I was little, right, guys? Yeah. Oh, maybe I could put like pizza. I like pizza. That's good stuff right there. Pizza. Okay. So what else am I thankful for and grateful for? I know I have a ton of things to be grateful for. So let me think. How about my job? I love my job. I love working with my students and seeing my students and seeing what you produce. So I'm definitely grateful for that. I am grateful for my students, definitely. And I am thankful for my laughter and Blue. So when I wrote laughter, I'm kind of talking about how I'm thankful about the fact that I can make things funny and I find humor in my daily life makes things fun. All right, I think I have a good list to start, so I can add more as I go, but I'm going to flip my paper over now. All right, so I flipped my paper over. I got my other piece of paper. I want to be able to see my list, so that's why I have two. You can always just flip it back and forth. My paper is the portrait way, so it's the tall way up and down. I'm going to go towards the corner, the upper corner, and I'm going to make a diagonal down, almost close-ish to the middle. Then I go to the opposite corner and make a letter V and a line that comes down. So I'm filling a good part of the paper right now. So I made a letter Y. Whenever I try to make a tree, I always start off with the letter Y. I have my marker now, and I'm going to go alongside that line, and I'm going to curve down. Alongside the line, curve down. So we're not tracing the Y, we're just leaving it float in the middle right now. So make sure you don't trace it. Now I'm going to do the inner part, a little smaller letter V. And now what I'm going to do to add to my tree is essentially make other letter Ys, okay? So from here, if I really want to with a pencil, I can have a letter Y branch off. So there's my Y. And I can always trace over it. So you can do it that way if you are comfortable with it. Eventually, you're going to see me just doing it with marker. So make sure your tree isn't teeny tiny, way too thin. If it's way too thin, it's going to be hard to fill. So I have done it from that direction. Maybe I'm going to curve this way. And here's the time where I'm making a letter Y without pencil. So kind of coming in, out, and down, letter Y. So a tree is essentially a lot of little letter Ys here and there sprouting off. And I'm doing a letter Y up there too, but for some reason it's off the camera. And back down. Okay. So now I have the hang of it. I'm not going to use my pencil anymore. Again, use it if you're comfortable. Letter Y coming off. And remember, all my lines are meeting up with each other. So they're all connected to the main letter Y. All the way down. Let's keep coming upwards this way. New letter Y branching off over here. Going down. To there. Make my lines continue, and you can have a lot of letter Ys or you can have a few letter Ys. I always just try to take up the space a bit. Now you can't see what I'm doing up top, and I apologize for that. But I'm still filling that space in with what? Letter Ys, yay! Okay. All right. Let's get back down to the stems, the roots, excuse me. I kind of curve down, and my roots aren't specifically letter Ys. I was trying to think of them like they're letter Ys, but they're a little bit more curvy and roundish and a little bit more sporadic. So yep, you can still see my roots. Curvy-ish letter Ys. And all the way down, and ta-da! So now I'm going to kind of make some of these lines a little thicker, nice and smooth. Taking my time going over these. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause the video. Well, I'm going to pause my voice and I'm going to speed up making my lines thick. So my friends, make sure that your lines of your tree are nice and neat and that they are consistent. So some are really thick. Try to keep that consistency and thickness. All right, so I'm going to speed up right now until I'm done making things nice and thick. Now that I have nice thick lines throughout my tree, everything is pretty consistent. I gotta add a couple more details and erase some things. So first I'm gonna get a pencil and I'm gonna start to erase my pencil line. I don't wanna see it anymore. I'm gonna carefully go over it. And I'm not trying to rush my erasing because then I kind of make my paper a bit on the funky side. So I'm just going through and erasing that pencil mark. Erase, erase, erase. And looking good. Okay, so now that that letter Y is erased, I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to begin adding, making it thick again. I'm going to first add my hill though. So above the tree roots, I'm going to add a curved line to the edge of my paper. Try to keep it consistent in thickness. So that's my ground line. So then I'm going to be going over to the other side and continuing this line. Go over to the other side, continue, continue, continue. Okay, now I'm going to be ready to write on the inside of my tree. So here's the thing, I'm going to be filling my tree with all the things I'm thankful and grateful for. I got to write nice and neat, and I want to try to go from one side to the other. So first I'm going to start with the top of my list, and I'm going to begin filling in my tree. So the way I write nice and neat is I go really slow and I try to make them as readable as possible. So don't copy what I'm writing because you're probably not thankful and grateful for the same people and the same things that I am. So I'm going to begin at the bottom of my tree and I'm going to start trying to fill up that space. Alright, so I've zoomed in a little bit for you to see better. My letters are going from one edge of the tree to the next edge of the tree. And I am writing going up the tree basically. So I'm turning my tree so I can write. So I'm putting these letters, trying to write them nice and neat. I've decided to write them in all capital letters, which isn't technically accurate, but that's okay. And I'm going to take my time with my letters and try to fill the space of my tree. So I'm writing my husband's name, and when I'm done writing his name, I'm going to put a little dot in between him and the next list. Then I'm going to write my daughter's name, Iris. And my friends, you don't have to do dots in between. Maybe you want to do lines in between. But I like having some form of separation in between each thing I'm grateful for. So there's Iris's name. There's a dot. And now where am I going to go? I'm probably going to curve to the right, I believe. And remember, I'm checking my list. You might want to check with an adult to make sure things are spelled correctly. It's okay if they're not. Okay. Then I'm going to write my dog's nickname, which is BB. I should call her BB-8. She just kind of roll around. That'd be pretty accurate, you guys. And now I'm going to branch like a tree, because a tree branches. All right. Oh, now it's going to be chocolate. In order of importance, you guys, my family, and then chocolate. Sorry, Blue. Your time will come, I promise you. So you can see it starts to get a little bit tricky to write through the branches. But I'm still trying to fill up that space. So do the best that you can. Try to give yourself enough space. And what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be continuously filling up all the branches. So I'm going to be pausing my voice and speeding up my video. So now I think you should be able to get the idea of what we're doing. Filling up the branches. Yeehaw. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking and speed up my video. Don't you speed up too. You slow down, okay? But you can always pause where I'm at. All right, here we go. Okay, so I am going to fill up the roots as well. So I got to figure out where I want to start to make it look the nicest so I take up the most space. And I'm filling up the roots. And let's zoom in on my roots, shall we? Alright, so my roots are getting filled in. I have zoomed in a little bit so you can see how I'm doing this. I wrote family. I'm putting kind of those dots. Dots is going to be my theme to break up my sections, especially in the teeny tiny spots. I think I can make a cool design making some dots. So I'm going to continue with my dots, breaking off little sections for my writing, and I'm going to fill in my roots. So I'm going to speed up this point again. So stand by for speed up. Okay, now I'm just putting the finishing touches, carrying some of those dots around, filling in my extra branches. And once everything is filled in, again, when it gets way too tough, I'm going to start filling them in with little dots to kind of add some pretty design. You don't have to do dots again, like I said earlier. You could do little lines, you could do whatever you kind of feel like doing. But I'm going to fill them in. Now, once everything is filled in, we're going to begin the coloring process. So make sure all the parts of your branches are filled in, and then you need to get your coloring supplies ready. So again, if you need to pause it to get set up, that is fine. Go do what you need to do. I am going to speed up the rest of this part until I'm ready to color. So let's do it. Okay, everything's filled in. It's looking excellent. Now here's the deal, guys. We're going to leave our tree white. And I'm thinking of doing some sort of like sunset or sunrise behind my tree. So I got to think about the colors in the correct orders. So you can switch up the order if you would like maybe you want the sun coming from the top of the page. But I'm going to do it like it's setting towards the hill. So I'm going to prepare my paint. I'm going to start to mix it. I've chosen watercolor because I can blend watercolor well. If you've chosen crayons or colored pencils, make sure you're overlapping some of the color so that it starts to blend. It's not going from one color to the next. It kind of slowly changes. So overlapping our colors really helps blend. So what I'm currently doing right now is I'm fixing up my yellow. I have another piece of paper to kind of practice on. Okay, here's yellow. So this is the order I'm going to go in. Yellow, and then I'm going to mix some orange. Orange, mix more, mix more, mix more. There we go. Then I'm going to rinse my brush, get some red. Now, I'm not practicing blending or mixing these colors right now. I'm just practicing the order I want it to go in. So from red to purple, and purple to blue. That's the order I'm going to go in. That's typically, if you looked at the color wheel, you started at one of those colors and you would go from one into the next. So it's kind of color wheel order. I'm going to have that ready at the side, and I'm going to get ready. Turn it, mix my color, and the first color I'm going to add is my yellow, and it's going to go along the hill and kind of up the tree a little bit. So I'm trying to get this on here pretty good and quick if you're using watercolor, because you don't want it to dry too much as you're starting to paint. Mix, mix, mix. Color, color, color. Okay, so I am slowly adding my yellow in, filling up that space alongside my hill, and I'm getting it all the way up to midway up my tree, not too far. When I feel like I have enough yellow, I'm going to get some orange ready, and I'm going to continue with orange. Orange, 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 orange. If you are using watercolor, watch out for using too much water. If you use too much water, it's going to bleed into your tree, which happens. If it happens, maybe you should just paint your tree brown. That'll be fine. But too much water makes it bleed all over the place. It makes the paint run. So I'm getting my orange on there. Going all the way across. And what I'm going to do to blend them is I'm going to start to take my orange into my yellow a little bit. See how I wiggle into both of them? Back and forth and back and forth. Boop, 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 boop. Yep. Back and forth. And sometimes I get a brush full of just water to go back and forth. And sometimes I just get back out some yellow to blend even further. So once I have my orange down, I'm going to add some red in. That's a vibrant red. And I'm following the order that I've shown you. It's right there visible to you. And you see me blending a little bit back and forth. I got some orange to go into that red a little bit, taking some of that red into the orange a little bit, all so that it starts to blend. Should start to go from one color to the next. And we're going to have a very beautiful sunset next to our gratitude tree. Keep filling up the space with my red. I'm going to flip mine around. Now I'm using kind of thin paper, so my paper is not absorbing the water too well. So I'm going to try not to move it around too much. Thicker paper with watercolor is way superior, but that's okay. I just won't oversaturate it with water. Filling the other side in with red. And then I'm going to be switching to purple momentarily, but I got a mixed blend. Red into the orange, orange into the red. Add. La 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 la. Painting, I'm painting. This is my painting song I sing it all day long. I'm painting, I'm painting. If you're using crayons, you can overlap crayon. If you're using colored pencils, you can overlap pencils. Colored pencils, that is. So, I like to stack those two when I'm trying to make things look like they're blending. And if you take it into a whole new direction in your own direction, cool. Can't wait to see it. So, from red comes purple. So, filling the next space in with purple. And my gradient isn't going too fast. So what I mean when I say that is I have a chunk of yellow, I have a chunk of orange, I have a chunk of red. They're not tiny stripes because I want to take up the space with my spectrum that I'm filling in. Purple, purple, purple. This purple isn't too dark, so I'm going to make sure to super overlap my purple. I'm going to scooch it over a little bit. Here we go. Purple. Now sometimes when you're using watercolor, if you don't mix it really well, it's a little bit too see-through. So make sure you're stirring it enough. Again, if you're using colored pencils or crayons, though, I do expect that you are taking your time. Remember, you cannot do good, decent artwork if you go too fast. It becomes incredibly challenging to control your materials. So make sure you are going slow. Slow and steady. That wins the race. And you see I'm taking some purple into my red here. So I can blend, blend, blend. And now I'm going to get the rest filled in with blue. So I am going to really overlap that blue on top of my purple and my purple onto my blue. So I like to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to make things blend. And I'm almost done filling in the space. Painting, I'm painting. Painting, painting. Filling it in, filling it in. And you don't see my edge over here, but I'm filling it in blue. I promise. There we go. And now I'm going to start to overlap. Blue into the purple. And a little bit of purple into the blue. And the blue looks like it's a bit more powerful than the purple is. So I'm going to be going back and forth here. Got some purple on my brush. Some blue on my brush now. Mixing that in. I'm also going to be painting my ground in eventually. I'm going to be painting that in with green. And I have chosen not to fill my tree. And if you really want to paint your tree brown, cool. I kind of wanted it to be lighter and set apart from the fancy sunset so that my eye travels to my tree. But you have artistic freedom. There we go. Blend in my sky a little bit more. Here we go. Okay. Playing around with the blue and purple so much. Painting. It looks so pretty. Sunset. Alright. So now I'm going to prepare my green. Okay, green time, green time, green time. It's time to add some green on the ground. And I'm going to start to add my green. I'm going to go around my roots. And then I'm going to be done. Gonna let her dry. If you used other materials, you don't have to let it dry unless you use something that uses some sort of amount of water. Or is in liquid form. And my gratitude tree looks so cool. I am going to add on top of my green because it's a little bit too bright. Kind of want to make it a little bit more neutral. I'm going to add some black on the top of my green to kind of bring it down a little bit. It's too jazzy. Need to bring that baby down. Okay, so now I'm adding some black on top. It's pretty powerful, so I'm going to get a dry brush on here. Spread it out a little bit. Just basically a little bit of water is on my brush and no extra amount of paint. Reload with a little bit of black. Make sure it's watery enough so it's not too dark. And add it. I'm going to add it through the roots and dull everything down. And then I'm done. Okay, so I am pretty much all set. And here is my reveal of the final project, and it's done, yay! Don't forget to share it with me. I can't wait to see these. And enjoy your gratitude trees, my friends.